Yeah. My name is David Zock. I am a musician, which is my day job. I've been playing music for 20 years now. And I also volunteer with a counter sex trafficking organization called the Exodus Road. And I spy on criminal networks that are selling underage girls. And I have a wonderful wife, three kids that are going to be 17, 15, and 12 soon. And I have a Bronco 2 from 1988. Yeah. It's finicky, especially because I don't feel like I'm the right guy to be on this particular show because I don't barely even know how to talk about it. I don't even know, if it's a V8 or a V6 or any of those things. I should have it all written down somewhere. I just don't remember stuff like that. But even though I'm a musician, I'm not a numbers guy either. Like we were in a guitar shop today, and I don't know like the J40 or whatever it is for the Gibson guitar. So both mechanics and musicians could make fun of me for my lack of knowledge. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, really? That's fine. Getting all up in your space, but in a good way, it's helping. So it's just been me talking this whole time. Okay, what he said, since he's muted, is that he plays the bass, but he only knows how to play the guitar in drop D, which is great. You can just, play the power chords like that. What are we live on right now? Okay. We should have done a joint thing where I could have given my channel to you so we could have gone live over there too. That's fine. People can fast forward. I never like to listen to the intros of stuff, all the podcasts, everything that I listen to. I always take it 2 minutes in and then I start listening. That's where the meat and potatoes starts usually.
I don't know why it set this on some other device is plugged into my computer.
Well, we are 9 minutes in, and now we're gonna get to the juicy stuff. Oh yeah.
So everything you just said, Sean, no one heard, but everyone heard what he said.
Yeah, that's good because he put me on blast about my drop D thing. That's awesome. So awesome. So what is your? I know I'm not gonna try to put you on the spot, man. I'm really not. But like, what are cars you like and stuff?
What's do I like?
Like kind of cars. What is if you were to think of your
Man,
dream car? What is it?
it'd be a 60s Corvette Stingray,
What color?
like a purple sparkle. I have the Matchbox one.
Heck yeah, dude. Okay, like the kind of like that Lamborghini Diablo purple.
Yeah, but well, a little like darker and just barely a little bit of sparkle.
That's pretty
Um,
awesome.
but then I've liked that for a long time. But then Batman had one of those in black, which looked pretty nice. The most recent Batman. I don't know what year that Stingray was.
Did you I don't know if you've seen it, but me and Hayden about a month ago we did the 1989 Batmobile and I got to drive it and it was like the scariest thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh, really?
Oh man, it was really sketch. I feel like I bring that up every live, but I'm very proud of that. Not very a lot of people can say they've driven the actual Batmobile.
That's a okay flex.
Right? Oh man. All right, so I have a question. So Hayden is way younger than me, and I've had to teach him what like yellow card is, or I mean, there's been a few things where he's like, dude, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So I showed him your band right before we
Yeah,
did this, and we watched the Better Than Life music video. And Hayden
yeah.
wants to know how long did that take to film?
Um, there was just one person responsible to every time we filmed another take. For those of you listening, the scoreboard in the gymnasium we played in changed throughout the music
I
video.
didn't even notice that. Did you? The
Yeah.
script changed throughout the whole music
I
video.
noticed that, and the picture or the colors of the chairs changed.
I saw
And
the
so
colors of the chairs. Yeah.
somebody moved all those chairs around. An old school gym. It had such a nostalgic vibe to it. Very hot day, like really, really hot day
Yeah, you
in that
basically had a lot
gym.
of sweat marks.
But I think it was like 3 hours of filming.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's actually really good. Like we were talking to Josh about his Renegade and Bring the Ruckus video, and he
Yeah.
said they did that in one day, and it was a 19-hour day.
Oh man.
I'm like, ooh, buddy.
Yeah.
So, well, that's pretty cool. So, when I asked you for a photo, you sent me photos of you working on your car. What have you done to it?
So far on the '88 Bronco, my son Jack and I have fixed the back hatch.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get new. We ripped out everything inside, washed the chairs, got rid of a lot of the water, and that insulation was all messed up. So I mean, some of those screws, some of the screws going into the frame that were holding down the seats and stuff. I had to get this thing that was this long that you hammer when you put it into the frozen bolt, and you hammer it, and it like turns it a little bit. You know, just barely you hammer it, and then we got an impact drill on it, and we were able to finally get them out. That was a lot of work, and a lot of colorful language, a lot of skinned up knuckles, you know, from getting in there. Uh, Mechanically, all right. So we're in the process of we put the floor back down, got the seats cleaned and back in. Now we're going to put the side panels and the door panels back in. But and this is an incidental. 2 days ago, I'm still out of town, so I haven't seen it yet. But we had a door open for us in a bad way. Jack got out of his car, out of the Ford Bronco, and so now there's a little bit of that beautiful blue 1988 Ford Bronco paint on. I don't know the guy, but the famous figure skater Scott Hamilton, his son's car.
No way. Of all the people.
He's got a little bit of my son's door on his door.
That's crazy.
So they put a good dent. The wind caught it.
I mean,
And my son's like, I might have grabbed it, Dad, but because we had the door panel off, it was, you know, sharp. And so I was like, son, that happens. No big
at
deal.
least it's a cool color, not like beige or something.
Yeah.
That's pretty gnarly. What I got from that is that you're more of a car guy than me because I could not do any of that.
Well, okay, here's the big one. Well, my son, when I was overseas, woke me up. I was like a 12-hour difference, and it was Father's Day. And so I woke up to him saying, Dad, the car won't start. I'm broken down somewhere. And he got a wire to put onto the battery because that wire was corroded. And then there was a little plastic thing, and I think with a brake drum. And any car enthusiast will be making fun of you, but it's kind of like right on the other side of the windshield, down in the driver, right over there. There's this thing that he saw that this thing had blown out of it. So he bought a new one. And with the help of my father-in-law, long distance, he fixed this thing. But my son figured out, I had put my phone and everything in airplane mode, but he figured out how to make my phone ring in the middle of the night, woke me up at 3 a.m. while I'm just trying to get rid of this jet lag. And so he did that himself. But then it's like this big, it's like a gear box. So that you got the steering wheel, then there's a long shaft that goes into this gearbox, and then that goes down to the struts or the tie rods and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that we had so much play in our steering wheel, and it was getting worse, so bad that to turn left, you had to go about 40 degrees before it started to activate, and then you're turning left, and then back over to turn right. It felt like there's no power steering. So we were like that, and you know, it got really bad, and so I had to go pick it up at a park from him and have my wife go behind me because I looked like a drunk driver at that point. But we bought a new gearbox and put it in, damaged some of the struts in the process, bought new struts, and we did it, took it in for the alignment, and we were like so close for it being perfectly aligned. We were really proud of ourselves.
Dang. So how much more?
Couple amateurs.
I mean, that, like I said, that's more like it. I sell 18-wheel parts as a
Yeah.
job, and that's yeah, no, that's more than I could do. How much more? How many more things do you guys got to do to it?
We're just gonna try to. I mean, we're put all the paneling back on. Put the head. What's it called? The ceiling back on because the old ceiling was tick tacked up a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and then maybe we're gonna do the brake lines, and we're just YouTube warriors.
That's pretty
We learn
gnarly.
it all on YouTube.
We have this guy. So me and Hayden are in Lubbock, Texas,
Yeah,
and we have this guy that is he has like an old like classic Bronco, and there's like baby blue, but he's
yeah.
engine swapped and he has a 5.0 Mustang engine in it. It's the weirdest thing, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's very very interesting, and that's Hayden's dog making the noises. I'm sorry, you can see his tail. Look at that, it's adorable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome, cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your band and stuff?
Yeah.
Like into further detail, like how long have you guys been together? What made you guys start the band? What is your favorite song you guys have made, and why does it mean something to you?
Um, we've been a band for 20 years now. Started in high school. We're called Remedy Drive. Um, my most meaningful song right now for me is a song called Caravan Princess. And it's meaningful to me because it embodies the stories of so many women and girls I've met around the world that are being trafficked. Um, so it carries a lot of emotion because I do undercover work. I spend a lot of time talking with girls that are being sold by criminal networks and gangs, and um, but also musically, it for me that song just pulls on my heartstrings in a unique way just from the instrumentation alone. It's a really beautiful song.
That's awesome. What is advice you have to like look out for like sex trafficking and stuff like that, and parents with their kids going to school and how to prevent it?
Don't pay attention to some of the cliches that you see on social media. Um, it's it's our kids are vulnerable if they're not getting a lot of attention. Somebody's going to give them attention, and traffickers know how to lure our daughters into what they feel like is a romantic relationship, and they have all sorts of tricks and ways to coerce or entice our girls and sometimes our boys into sometimes they use pictures that they might blackmail kids with pictures they've taken of them. They might get kids hooked on drugs. Uh, they might befriend them in a romantic relationship. There's so many ways that traffickers prey on our kids. It's going to be somebody they know though. It's going to be a camp director like Camp Kunnecook and over a couple states from you in Missouri, where so many boys were taken advantage of by this awful, monstrous human being named Pete under the watch of a celebrity pastor that never repented, never. It's going to be pastors. It's going to be school teachers. Might be a relative. Like I think it's really important to talk to our kids about just the way the world is. And in that conversation, we can talk about the way we want the world to be. But we have to start by saying this is how the world just happens to be.
Yeah, it's a really dark place right now. How often does it happen? I personally know of one person that actually got like taken, and then they came back, and it was never the same.
Yeah, it's rarely like a taken scenario. It's a lot of kids that are being exploited still go to school. Um, the but statistically, there's 300,000 people in the United States impacted by trafficking, whether it's sex trafficking or other forms of trafficking. But internationally, it's around 40 million people. So the problem is big here, but it's really massive internationally, and that's why I do work internationally as well.
How did you get involved with that, and like what made that start? And like I imagine that was an idea, like, hey, I want to make a difference because you should be the change of the world you want to see. But what did it take for you to actually act on that? And was that freaky the first few times?
It took it took consistent nudging, interviews like this, where people used their platforms or their skill sets, the currency of their lives, to not only expose injustice, but also to shine a light on hope and shine a light on on the fact that either they themselves or other people were doing courageous work. And right around the time where that music video that you mentioned was being made was kind of the end of the line for me where I was okay with doing nothing other than singing. So when that music video was being made that you mentioned, that was 2012. And I actually wanted some of the lyric that ended up in our following album to end up on that album, but nobody at the record label was okay with songs about trafficking and boy soldiers. They were really like, no, we don't want to talk about this kind of stuff. It's not going to sell. Uh, but I had been influenced over and over again by the example of bravery in heroines and heroes from history and in modern times, like Harriet Tubman, the abolitionist, Frederick Douglass, Dr. King's last speech, where he said, "Now is the time for us to develop a kind of dangerous unselfishness," was one of the most powerful moments in my life. It just laid bare my apathy, laid bare the fact that I have a platform, I have such privilege and such ability and power. And what am I doing with that power that I have? Even if it's just a little bit, am I going to do nothing with that power other than sing? And I was reading the prophets that time, and Isaiah and Amos in particular, they say that that the Creator absolutely hates our songs, is tired of us singing, tired of our prayers, plugs his ears when we pray because we plugged our ears to the cries of the poor and the oppressed. And so all of that led me to believe I can't live in a time period where there's more people being exploited in this particular way than any other time in human history and do nothing. And then the final kind of punch in the face was when I watched that documentary about boy soldiers in 2012. And my daughter says, "Dad, why not God protect those boys?" That's what led me into writing about it. And then in this amazing convergence of paths, I met Matt Parker, who founded the Exodus Road with his wife, Laura Parker. And Matt invited me into the work alongside him.
That's pretty cool. And how scary was it like the first few times? I imagine that's a really intense thing to do.
I mean, it's nervous, but like anything, once you get nervous, but once you make that decision to take a step forward, it was like, this just is what it is. I feel like I blend in. I'm going to play the role I need to play here. I'm going to pretend to be a foreigner that's traveled to this land to take advantage of people. I'm going to befriend traffickers. I'm going to smoke and drink with guys that sell people for a living, and I'm going to use hidden cameras and secret gear and cyber forensic software to help expose what they're doing.
That's crazy, dude. And not a lot of people say they actually do that. That's awesome, though.
I'm thankful that I have time and some resources to be able to put to it, but also I'm really thankful for a fan base in our community that made this really strange, extreme turn in our music. From singing "Your Love Is Better Than Life" to singing "I'm a soul inside a body. I'm not a commodity."
That's pretty cool. That does really say a lot about your fan base. So
yeah, and they've supported us. They've funded three consecutive albums focused on counter trafficking work too, which I love.
That's pretty cool. But nobody's doing that at the same time, so it's different, and you got to be different to stand out.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. How long do you plan to do that for?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I plan to keep on singing these songs. We're trying to revive some of the early counter trafficking melodies. Starlight, a new version of Starlight, comes out this Friday. But I will not quit justice work for the rest of my life. I hope that in some capacity, in some way, I am putting myself in close proximity with sorrow, because that's what it means, in my view, to realize the new template for human flourishing.
Dang. And what does your wife and kids think about it?
They're proud of me. I'm taking them all with me again overseas to see some of the work that's being done in the aftercare department after somebody's been rescued by an organization like the Exodus Road. Um, they need reparative therapy, art therapy, and trauma therapy. And so the Exodus Road has a Beyond Rescue program now, and there's other organizations that we really believe in that we buy stuff from and to help support them. A lot of it's survivor made boho pants and elephants, stuffed elephants, and all the band's t-shirts. So I want my kids already relabel all that stuff when we sell it. So I want them to go with me, to be close to the poverty and the sorrow and the exploitation, because that sorrow, I think, makes them new as well. I don't need to hide them from it. This whole idea of a religion being safe for the whole family is a pretty massive lie. And I don't want to insulate my children from the way the world is once again.
Yeah, I mean that's good, and that's a good way to live. And that, I mean, you're practicing what you're preaching.
Yeah.
So that's really respectable. So that's pretty cool. What made you get into music, and what age were you when you started playing guitar, or what instruments did you play and everything?
It was Keith Green and Mannheim Steamroller.
Wow.
Mannheim Steamroller was an instrumental group out of Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm from. My dad sold insurance to their piano player. But they're most famous for their like Christmas music. But we listen to their like cool Fresh Air albums, like synth meets like minstrel. Like it's such a weird combination of styles. But then Keith Green, we listened to him on vinyl when I was a kid. So I just started playing piano. I learned how not to read music after struggling to read music when I was like 12 or 13. And then I just started writing my own songs. First guitar song was Disarm by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, really? That's pretty sick.
And I played that at a talent show my 8th grade year. So
awesome.
I was so nervous. My voice was quavering.
I like it. So
Yeah.
do you, what kind of music do you listen to? Like if you were to like say your playlist, what would be in that?
Well, today, let's pull up. Today, I have this playlist that I absolutely love. I made an instrumental playlist. It's not necessarily instrumental; it's just mellow. Dawn Chorus by Tom York from Radiohead. I just absolutely love him. And then I have a bunch of songs that I discovered. Sigur Rós is one of my favorite, like mellow, taking a shower or just doing work, because they're singing in some weird Icelandic. I think it's his own language he sings in, not even like a made up language that sounds like Icelandic. The soundtrack from the Van Gogh display has some Imogen Heap in it. But then I listen to like a lot of stuff from the '90s, Nirvana and Weezer and Foo Fighters and Smashing Pumpkins. My son has me listen to a lot of hip hop these days.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of cues from hip hop, to be honest. Like I really like, there's a creativity there that is really inspiring.
I really like how 808 sound. I don't really listen to much hip hop or rap, but I really like instrumentals of them.
I just learned that rap means rhythm and poetry, and I haven't like looked it up, but I'm pretty. Dave, our guitar player, told me that. But I do like I like seeing the evolution of hip hop as an art form. It's such a beautiful art form.
I like it when it's not just bragging about yourself. That's the kind of music I don't like. When it's just talking about, getting chicks, drugs, money, and rolling around in a Lamborghini, and you're just like, dude, I don't care, man.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, that part of
Beastie
that
Boys.
part of it, similar to country music has those same vibes, and like the most hated rock and roll band, they have a lot of that vibe too.
Nickelback.
Yeah. So I take the good with the bad with any genre. You know who was the most arrogant punk in the world? Beethoven.
Yeah, that's very true.
He's way more arrogant than any hip hop star I've seen.
It's funny you say country because I was showing, I don't know if you ever heard of him, there's this comedian named Barry Burnham, and I was showing one of mine, Hayden's, his friends, his music the other day, and he has a song that's basically just bashing country people for just basically, being like rappers, like, oh, I have this and this and this, but
Yeah.
I'm not actually country. And
Yeah, and even with like, is it a worse flex, to boast about your truck or your Lamborghini? Like I'm really proud of my $2,500 Bronco that I got my boy for. So I'm trying to give grace to people is the point of that, and just learned so much from listening to hip hop about the black experience in the United States, and so I go to hip hop as an observer and I celebrate from the sidelines of something that I view as beautiful and important and a big part of our culture and a more direct line that goes through hip hop. My AirPods falling out than rock and roll. Rock and roll has roots in slave songs from from and then into the Delta blues, all of that. That's where the history comes from, and to see it branch out in different ways. But it seems like all these genres have branched out, and then they're like overlapping right now, just like kids' styles these days. They're taking clothing styles from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and they're just mixing it all together. And that's happening in hip hop. I hate it when it happens in country music. But I love hearing hip hop songs that feel like Red Hot Chili Peppers sometimes, And Red Hot Chili Peppers was like taking influence from hip hop even back in the day.
no, that's pretty cool. I haven't really thought of it from that perspective, but you're right. And it's crazy to me. I was born in '93. It's crazy to me that, like, late '90s and early 2000s stuff is now retro. Like, freaking Hayden, what year were you born?
02.
That is ridiculous. He was born in 2002. I was in second grade, and he knows.
I spent half a year in the 70s, bro.
My God, that is great. How do you feel about it? Like, another thing I bring up is like, oh my God, man, I'm like 21 or about to turn 21. That's crazy. And I tell them my 10-year high school reunion's next month, man. I don't want to hear it.
Wait, you're only going to be 21?
No, Hayden is.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I'm 28, dude. I'm almost 29 in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, he's turning 21,
Yeah.
but you're 10-year high school. I missed all of them. I missed my 20th year.
That's
But um, aging and holding on to this, it is a really fun time because all this nostalgia from my youth, including the Bronco, is coming back around, and all those 80s synthesizers being in modern music. It's a great time to be alive. I really believe that.
Weird Al Yankovic is coming to Lubbock in 2 months. So I'm trying to talk my wife into going with me, and like it's like $30 to meet him, and it literally says you get
That's
to
it?
meet him. Yeah, and you get to meet him and have cold non-alcoholic beverages with him.
What? Like,
Right? I'm like, I'll pay
oh, like
$30
he's
for
like
Coke.
he's like one of the only superstars that hasn't had any scandals.
You're
He
right.
seems like a decent guy.
I mean, he
Weird.
seems like a really, really cool guy.
He's weird, but he's self-admittedly weird.
I'm curious if he's actually like it though, because a lot of these people, they act one way on stage, but then they're completely different.
Yeah.
So maybe it's all a charade. Who knows? But yeah, no, he is a very, very strange dude. And how the heck do you do that off of a accordion? The stuff he did,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So
My favorite was Amish Paradise.
Amish Paradise was pretty good. I like that and the Like a Surgeon.
Yeah. Just the title alone. Like, it'd be so fun to write that stuff with him. Cut for the very first time.
What was the? I don't. It was a movie, and the guy was obsessed with Weird Al in the movie, and it was like a
I don't
parody
know.
movie. And he spent his whole life trying to write him a letter, and he never got letters through. And the last scene is Weird Al in his office, and he's like, "Oh God, freaking Jimmy again!" And he's like, "I'm gonna read this one," and he's like, "You should write a song called Like a Virgin, but like a Surgeon." And he goes, "Oh my God, get the bus! We're going to the studio."
That's good.
He's pretty funny. I like him. Have you ever heard of Little Dicky?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Little Dicky's pretty funny too. He's kind of like a rapper, but he's kind of like a not a weird hour approach. But all his stuff is super hilarious. But he's trying to make it like
Okay.
a normal rap game thing.
Yeah.
So he's pretty funny too. So what does your wife do for a job? I'm just thinking of other stuff we could talk about because usually I go more in depth with cars, but I'm not sensing that vibe here.
Well, I mean, I was okay with seeing where it went. My wife is a domestic engineer, which means she just holds down the home front for us.
That's cool.
But she helps a lot. She creates all the gear we buy from organizations that are helping survivors of sex trafficking, and she's helped me book the band a little bit, and she volunteers with people that have come to Nashville, Tennessee as refugees. She helps prepare their younger kids for school in America with a preschool program. Really beautiful thing.
That's pretty
So
cool.
as a result, we have a lot of refugees in our home, and we get to be in a lot of refugees' homes as well.
What does it feel like to look back on the impact you've made on the world in the last, let's say, 10 years?
Feels small and insignificant.
That's a good answer. You could always do more.
And it's taken me a while to be really happy about that. Like it's never going to feel like anything other than just standing at the edge of a forest fire with a squirt gun. But for some reason, that's all that's going on right now. That's all we got
That's true. Could you
in
take
general.
could you take that further and do more, or is like you pretty much at
I
the
mean,
tip?
oh yeah, I could do a lot more. But the more people I meet that are doing important things, we all feel this way. And people that are doing so much more, that are pouring their lives out. Like I still get to be a rock star when I can, that's still my day job. And then I volunteer and I use the currency of my day job, the currency of my band and my songs and my platform to shine a light on injustice. But I still, at the end of the day, get to do something really fun for a living and make enough money to be able to volunteer. But I want to scale it. I want more people involved. That's why I go on podcasts. That's why I am so loud about it online, because my goal is that I create a ripple, and that ripple creates a tidal wave somehow. And maybe that's just one creative genius kid that hears what we're doing and thinks of, man, if that guy uses his guitar that way, maybe I can use, and then fill in the blank, whatever it is he's going to do, his podcast, his business, her hair salon. A girl ran a 5K in stiletto high heels and brought in all these funds. There's got to. You might like this a little bit. There's Exodus Road is on a NASCAR, I think.
No way, that is cool.
One of those cars, yeah. There's a little.
I actually, it's really funny. So my whole life, I've hated NASCAR so much. I'm going to be honest. I've been to 2 races. In both races, as terrible as it is, I was hoping for crashes.
Yeah, that's.
But this week, I've gained a really big respect for it. And you know why? So my favorite musician in the world is Mark Hoppus. You may have seen this on my Instagram, honestly. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. just got a pink Mark Hoppus bass that was signed by him, and he plays bass. And I'm like...
Who's he play for? Who's Mark play for?
Blake 182.
Oh, really?
That's like the guy that got me into music, was Mark Hoppus and his pink bass.
Yeah.
And my personal definition of success is to get one of his pink basses, and me and my wife are ordering it next month, and I've waited the 12 years I've played bass to do it.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man, I can't wait. Because you could get in, like, white, black, blue, green, and you could get that any day. And I've told everybody, I'm waiting for the pink one. It has to be hot pink. And he just released a second round, and there's only going to be like 150 made. I'm on the list to get one. And I'm like,
Hey, congrats.
Thank you. It's an honor. So, but yeah, no, I'm like, wow, I guess I'm a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan now.
Yeah.
So, if somebody wants to get involved with Exodus Road or help you guys or, do anything, how could they contact you guys?
RemedyDrive.com. And I made a /action that gives, so it's RemedyDrive.com/action. It gives, similar to the woman that ran the 5K in stiletto high heels, or the 2 little girls in North Dakota that came up to me and said, "We fight wolves and and we hunt princesses, or we hunt wolves and we rescue princesses. Um, I've just made a list of people doing like selling jam to help fight against trafficking. There's some girl that makes cakes to fight against trafficking, sells these cakes she decorates. I just try to give a bunch of ideas there of things that different generous people have used their creativity. So that's a great way. People bring us in for concerts. That really helps out the band. It helps out the Exodus Road, and it helps out the organizations that help do the aftercare because we sell those products at the shows. So many ways to help, and helping to amplify our message on social media too, just like you're doing right now. All of that helps us.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. And if there's anything else me and Hayden could do for you, let us know. And don't be a stranger.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, man.